Hello, bonjour! Today I will teach you how to make a chocolate crepe with a raspberry mango compote. Oh my gosh! Stay with me till the end because also I'm going to talk about all that's amazing in terms of nutrients. So you're having a treat that treats your body. We love that, don't we? Okay, so we simply, you know me, we start by putting our blender jar on our scale and we zero the scale. And then we'll add 140 grams of water. And the water ideally is filtered or is from a spring water. So 140. And then we add bananas. I have those bananas. You might look at them and go, oh, they're going to be brown inside. They're not, because they are organic. So what happens with organic bananas is they are ripened by putting them into the same room as apples. And the apples, it does release ethylene, so that's why it ripens this way. Whereas the bananas that are from conventional bananas, they gas them. So that's different. So there you go. You see how white it is? No problem at all. So 60 grams, that brings us to 200. And here we are. Next ingredient is the desiccated coconut unsweetened. And we have 40 grams, so 240. Okay, and then the next one, I'll take that spoon here. We need to have 30 grams of coconut oil that has been liquefied. So that brings us to 270. And here we are. I'll leave that in there. The next one is the dates paste, which is simply same amount of date and water in terms of weight. And then you blend. And then we need to have 30 grams of that. So 300. It's easy with a knife like this to calculate. Oh, there you go. Right on. And then we need to have the raw cacao powder, also 30 grams, so 330. And the cacao powder has to be raw, remember, right? It's impossible to cover the taste of the cacao powder that is, or cocoa that is roasted. Just impossible to cover that taste. And the maple syrup is 10 grams, so 340. There you go. And here is the cacao butter. And it's also a raw cacao butter, 10 grams as well, so 350 there. And then we have lemon juice. It's here. Do your own lemon juice, right? So important, instead of buying the one at the grocery that is pasteurized. It doesn't taste, it tastes metallic, doesn't taste good. And then we need to have 5 grams. Oh, you know what I'll do? There you go. Do less of a mess. So 355. And measure like I'm doing, because the lemon juice is awesome. It really brings up the flavor, but if you put too much, it ruins it. So do as I'm doing now. The Himalayan salt, we need a pinch there. And then the next ingredient we need is the sea moss. I just always put it. You heard me before, right? It's all those minerals that you have in it. 92 of the 102 that we need. So I just had a little bit in all my recipes. I have a quarter spoon in here. There we go. You see what I've done at the same time? All my ingredients were on the right. I'm right-handed. And then I use them, I put them on the left. So it's called a mise en place. I put them on the left, and then that way I know I used all the ingredients I am to use for that recipe. Okay, then the next step is we simply blend. But we don't blend at a high speed because you don't want it to turn into a butter, right? So let's just blend, but not too fast. are. It's simply so the banana is, pureed, and then also your shredded coconut is also mixed in it, so you can see it's just creamier. There we go. And then we will pour into this bowl here. There. Now maybe you can see what I'm doing with my spatula. I'm bringing everything to the bottom here. Instead of scraping along the way, just bring everything into the bottom part of the bottom, because I'm holding it this way, and then you pull everything out like this. My spatula as well is it's a Rubbermaid, and it has a concave, or I'll take this. It's a spoonula. I have a hard time to say that, but it's in the shape of a spoon. It's concave in the middle. That's great. It really helps to hold, because of that shape here. Excellent. The next ingredient that we need is the flax, and I did blend the flax just before using it, and then I need to add 50 grams. There. Excellent. And now we simply mix the flax into the chocolate cream. It's not exactly a cream. It's not as thick as a cream, but it's all the ingredients that were done from the first part of the recipe. Okay, let's leave this on our scale because I do have a template. This is from Sedona. I'll show you how to make one without the template, because you can do that as well. But I have a template, and because of that template, and because of the thickness I want to have the crepe, because remember, it has to be able to fold it, right? So we don't want too thick, but we don't want too thin either. And I will take 45 grams. Why am I teaching you to do them all in a similar weight, 45, 46 grams, around there? Why am I teaching you that? Because I dehydrate those crepes. If I make them all very similar in weight, they'd be all ready at the same time, right? Makes sense. I use an offset spatula. It's a very small little spatula, but it's so practical. Look at this. So easy to spread the crepe with the offset spatula. There you go. There is one. There is 2. And 3. Okay, now let's pretend that I don't have a template. So what you do the same thing. Also take your 45 grams and do it as I'm teaching you at first, right? I mean, after that, you can decide, okay, I don't have a template, so I'm just going to, whatever. So I really suggest to you do the same size. Maybe it could be for presentation as well, like you present your crepe, they're all the same size. And as I said, they will all cook, if you cook them, they will all cook at about the same time, right? And also, you would get good at spreading them about the same size, so they'll be same thickness, so same weight. Then you get good at doing same size, so they will cook at the same speed. So that's faster this way. Okay, and there we are. So we simply, in my case, put it into the dehydrator for 3 hours. Then I flip them, and then I put them for 1 hour. I will show you the next step shortly. Well, after 3 hours. See you in a bit. Hello, bonsoir. So now, oh yeah, bonsoir. Yeah, 3 hours later. So now they're ready. And here's what it looks like. So what you simply do is you use another tray of your dehydrator and you flip. And when you peel off, they might stick. So if you take your fingers, just like I'm doing now, just behind the sheet, and you keep pressing so the crepe doesn't come up with the paper, with the deflect sheet. Keep pressing like this, and there you are. So now it goes on 1 hour to dehydrate on the other side. And you know, so what there is to remember, just have to be careful, it's not totally done, is they need to stay malleable. So you don't want to dehydrate them too much. And it's basically when you touch them and to the touch it's dry, then stop there. But 118 degrees in my dehydrator for 1 more hour, and then it's perfect. And if you decide you don't have a dehydrator and you would rather cook them on a, well, spread them on a parchment paper and then put them on a cookie sheet and put them in the oven. Don't do them in a frying pan. That's not the type of crepe for that. Okay? And so it goes in for another hour. So in the meantime, we'll do the filling that will go in the crepe. Hello, bonsoir. So now we'll do the filling that goes into the crepe. And I already cut my apple. I core out. I took the seeds out. And we need to measure 100 grams. So a little less. I invite you to follow the recipe. There is a reason. I find that the relation between the fruit, the raspberry, the mango, and the apple is best when you do equal quantity. And then, you know, just do as I teach you. And then you can always change after if you like. Improvise and everything. But at first, do the same as I do. You see how I'm cutting them? So the pieces are not too big. You'll understand why in a minute. So I simply run my knife like this. There you go. I put them down and then cut through like this. There we go. This is a very useful scraper with the sides. Now that we measure, we can put this aside. What we do now, so now we'll put the fruits directly in the food processor because the other one can go directly in. Here I have 100 grams of raspberries. And frozen. It has to be frozen. Again, you'll understand why in a minute. The mango, I also have 100 grams, but I must cut them up. About similar size as the raspberry. So the bigger chunk like this must be cut up. There we go. There. And we will pulse it so we break the fruits a little bit, but not turn it into like completely blended. Little pieces here. So they're broken up, but they're still pieces. back into our dish here, and we need our scale as well. And my spatula is here. Go. We'll put everything in here. And we will add 25 grams of maple syrup. Here we go. And then mix it. Be gentle. You really want to keep those pieces. You have more an effect of color that way. Well, you can understand that if you were to, break them up more than that, then everything will just turn pink, I guess. But that way we keep the brightness of the raspberries, and also you can see the mango. So it's a beautiful contrast. I like to have some apples as well because it helps to bring out the colors of those other two fruits. Okay, now I put it in my dehydrator. So I have my tray. I have a Teflon sheet on top, and then I will put the fruits. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can simmer to reduce the liquid. There's also an option for the dehydrator. And so the 𝗏𝗵, I have the air fryer here at the back. The 𝗏𝗵 has a dehydrating option. Then it's less expensive than a dehydrator. And I want to show you what it looks like once you've put it in the dehydrator for an hour at 118 degrees Fahrenheit or 48 Celsius. Hello, bonsoir. Now we'll make a chocolate sauce that, you can use on any desserts, really. So I'm putting it on the crepe, but then you can use it on a cake. You can use it wherever you want in your desserts. And, of course, we use our scale. There we go. So our scale is here. And then blender jar on the scale, 0 the scale. And then we start with 80 grams of the coconut oil. And then the next ingredient is 40 grams of the maple syrup. Everything has to be warmed up. So the coconut oil was liquefied. The maple syrup was warmed up in my dehydrator. So that brings us to 120. And we also add, of course, the raw cacao powder, 40 grams as well. So it brings us to 160. Almost there. There you go. 160, we put the lid on. And remember, there is coconut oil, so don't blend it too fast because it might turn into a chocolate butter. There. As you can see, the speed wasn't very fast, right? So you just mix it until it's creamy. Okay? And then we pour into our squeeze bottle here. There we go. I'll just change hand. Whoopsies. So I can work with my right hand. It's easier that way. So with the spatula, you see what I'm doing? I'm just putting everything in one side of the blender jar. It's easier to pour then. There we go. Okay, we have a plate, we have our crepe, we have our filling, and we have our chocolate sauce. So we're all set. Okay, so here we go. Let's take one, put it here. We're going to put a generous tablespoon, or it's a soup spoon, of the filling. And then what's beautiful to do is bring the filling to the edge here. And then when you close it so you can see the filling. You see what I'm doing? Then you take your sauce and you just go like this over. And I'll show you one more thing. My daughter, Christelle, came up with this idea, which is awesome. It really finishes the plate. So you take a toothpick, and then you run the toothpick in the chocolate. See what happens? And then the same thing here. There we go. Makes a beautiful little design, doesn't it? And now we're ready to have a taste. Oh my gosh. It melts in your mouth. It's just fabulous. So, so, so good. Oh. Bon appetit. Love the food that loves you back. I have to go back to this.